ITA511, how are things going? Well, today we're going to talk about end-use provisions, something you might come across in the customs industry. You've already actually been using an end-use provision, and I'll talk about what that was in a second. So an end-use provision is a special provision that reduces, or most of the time eliminates, customs duties that would normally be levied on goods under most favored nation, which are imported for in a specific manner or by a specific person. Okay, I don't mean imported in a specific manner. I mean imported for a use in a specific manner, meaning they're imported to be used for a specific purpose. For example, something that's imported to be used in the exploration of oil and gas, something to be used in the manufacture of an automobile. Okay, so these are provisions that reduce or eliminate the duty because of what the goods are going to be used for after importation. So it's identified by distinctive wording that connects the importer to the user. Okay, and I'll talk about that in a second. Now, end use provision equals concessionary provision equals special classification provision. These three terms mean the same thing. In the customs industry, we tend to always call them end use provisions, okay, or concessionary provisions. In the customs tariff, chapter 99, it's called a special classification provision. So these three terms are interchangeable. All right. Now, the terminology that you usually see is for use in. So a commodity for the use in the manufactured automobiles. This importation for the use in the manufacture of, for use by, for use on oil rigs, for, to be employed in. Okay, so these are the terms you'll see on the invoice, or you'll be told by the importer for the specific purpose of the importation. Some importations, if they're used for a specific purpose, have an end-use provision that allows the goods to be duty-free. If someone else imports the same item, but for a different use, one that does not have an end-use provision, they have to pay duty. It's as simple as that, and we'll show you what we mean when we go into the customs tariff. The importer has to provide proof of qualification if customs asks for it. Okay. Now, sometimes the goods describe themselves. Under chemicals, if you import these list of chemicals, if that chemical is listed there and that's the name of it on the invoice, then that's going to be you can be able to use it and use provision. But the importer sometimes has to submit evidence that the goods are going to be used for a specific purpose, or the importer is recognized as being an end user. An oil and gas manufacturer or oil and gas exploration company is recognized as being an end user. Anything they import is duty-free, depending on because it's going to be used for a specific end use. Sometimes you'll see the terms end use certificate and letter of recognition. What these are letters submitted by the importer or the end user to say, I'm going to use this particular importation for this purpose, and this purpose has an end use provision, etc., etc., etc. So we'll show you what that means in a minute. But most of the time when we import the goods, we don't have to show the end use certificate or a letter of recognition. We just use the end use provision, and if customs asks for it, then we provide it for them afterwards. Okay, so first we must classify the goods under chapters 1 to 97 in the customs tariff. Now, if those goods are dutiable, but they're used for a specific purpose, we can go in chapter 99 to see if a concessionary provision applies. So here's a page from chapter 99. And as you can see, we've got, let's give an example here. Utility vehicles and lorries, which means trucks or shuttle cars, for use in the underground in mining and developing natural deposits. So if you import those items and they're dutiable, you can quote the end use provision and you get it to be duty free. Someone who imports the same items that does not use them for underground mining, then they might have to pay duty. It all depends on knowing who your importer is and what they do with the goods. That is why when we talked about in ITC111, a customs broker needs to know everything about the shipment from the time it's manufactured, how it's manufactured, for free trade certificate, free trade purposes, to how the goods are being used in Canada, because sometimes we can have an end use provision to get around paying the duty. Okay, so if a concessionary provision exists in the customs tariff, Chapter 99, it'll be in the format 99 and then two other numbers, 0000, as you can see here. 9908 0000, 9909 0000. So example, articles of agriculture, 9903 0000. So let's go to that particular end use, 9903 0000, and here we are in Chapter 99. So 9903, whoops, it's a lot of stuff. 9903, articles and materials that enter the cost of manufacture or repair for the following agricultural items. Okay, so articles for agriculture are 9903 0000 end use number. We do the B3 line as normal with the proper HS number, but we add 9903 to field 28 tariff code. And I'm going to go through and do one in a couple of seconds to show you how that works. So here's some examples. Like we showed you before, agriculture, articles and materials that enter in the cost of manufacture or repair of agricultural items. Okay, that's 9903. These are just examples. There are many, many, many more if you go through Chapter 99. Pharmaceutical ingredients, there's 27 pages of them, 9913 and 9914. Let me just show you 9913. 9913. Keep going, keep going, keep going. These are all pharmaceutical ingredients. If you import these items, they're duty-free, even if they have a dutiable element in the regular customs tariff. 9914 are chemicals. Again, different chemicals that are imported. Now, I'm not a chemical engineer, so I can't tell you what these mean, but if you have a customer who's a pharmaceutical manufacturer or a chemical company, you might have to learn about these two particular things. Okay, so let's get some other ones. 9923, articles for the use in the manufacture of golf bags. Anything that a golf bag manufacturer imports is duty-free using 9923 0000. Articles for the use of gas-powered lawnmowers. Woven fabrics for the use of manufacture of necktie. Woven fabrics for the use of manufacture of apparel. Parts to be used in the manufacture of vehicles. Parts for the use and manufacture of automobiles, buses, trucks, ambulances, etc. Articles for use in the manufacture of snowmobile. Goods other than seat covers for the use and aircraft engines for the use of manufacturing aircraft. Goods for the manufacture of aircraft and aircraft trainers. If an importation is imported under end use provision and the end use changes, one must complete a B2 to pay the duties and taxes GST owed. So for instance, company A imports something and they use an end use provision to get rid of the duty. And then they find that they're not going to use it for that specific purpose. So the mining company imports the truck to use in underground mining, uses the end use provision to get rid of the duty, and then decide they don't need the truck anymore, sell it to another company who's not going to use it for mining. The importing company, because they're not using it for that specific purpose, have to do a B2 correction to pay the additional amount of duty and GST that they would have paid at time of importation. And the flip side of that is true as well. If an importer has imported something and did not use an end use provision, so we have a truck importer, imports a truck, pays the duty, and then sells it to a mining company who are going to use it for underground mining, the importer can go back and do a B2 to get the duty back because the goods are going to be used for a specific end use. Okay? If an importation is imported by a non-end user, meaning it's going to be imported by a company who is not using it for an end use, that makes it qualify. But they know that they're going to sell the goods to a company who is going to use them for a specific end use. They can communicate with that company and get what's called an end use certificate, in writing permission from the qualified end user. So let's say I'm importing that truck, and I'm just a truck wholesaler, so I'm importing the truck, but I know I'm going to be selling it to the mining company who's going to use it for underground mining. I get an end use certificate from the mining company saying that it's going to be used for mining. Then I'm allowed to use the end use statutory or concessionary provision at time of importation to get rid of the duty, because the goods are going to be ending up going to a proper end user who doesn't have to pay duty. So that's something you see quite often. You'll hear the term end use certificate. That's where it comes from, where an importer who is not going to be using the good for a specific end use that has a concessionary provision, but they're going to be selling it to someone who does. So in order to make the importation cheaper, to get rid of paying the duty, the person they're going to sell it to gives them an end use certificate certifying they're going to be using it for a specific purpose that has an end use provision. Then the importer can use that particular end use to get rid of the duty. So, like I said, first we must classify the goods under Chapter 197 of the Customs Tariff. If dutiable, then we look through Chapter 99 to see if a concessionary provision applies. So, let's use the example, Articles for Agricultural, 9903000. Okay, so we do the B3 as normal with the proper HS, and we find the HS code we use 9903 in Field 28 Tariff Code gets rid of the duty. Okay, so let's show you that specific example. So here we have the shipment. We've done the B3 up, and it's twine for agricultural purposes. So this is the proper HS number, the value for duty code, and the customs duty rate is 10% under most favored nation. So the value for current incursion is 20,000. This is in Canadian dollars, so the value for duty is the same. Customs duties is 10% of 20,000, and the value for tax is 22,000, and then 1,100 GST. So we find out before we do the B3 that there is a concessionary provision in Chapter 99 for articles in the use into the cost of manufacture and repair, and articles for use in the following of agricultural items. Okay, and it lists all sorts of different items. And the HS number for that particular end use is 99030000. So what we do is we go into the customs, into the B3, and we put in the tariff code 9903. And that reduces the duty to, that reduces the duty to 0. As you can see, most favored nation is duty-free using this particular tariff code. End use provision. So now, the value for the current version is 20,000, value for duty 20,000, now the customs duties is 0, and the value for tax is 20,000, and this is $1,000 GST. It's as simple as that. As long as this item here qualifies for that end use, then that's how we do it. So this turns into $1,000, and it saves the importer almost $2,100. Okay, so that's all you do. Okay, the trick is to know your customers. You don't have to go in Chapter 99 every time you have a B3 that you're doing it. The trick is to know your customer, and you sit down with your customer and you ask them what the end use is for their particular importations before you start importing their goods. And you go through here trying to find specific items for you to use to get it to be duty free. Now, if you have a certificate of origin for Kuzma or any other free trade agreement, it's duty free anyways. You don't have to use the special classification provisions, Chapter 99. But for most favored nation tariff treatment 2, you can use it. Okay, if the item is dutiable, we can get rid of duty by putting in this tariff code. Now, I said you've already used this particular tariff code. Let's show you the one you've already used in ITA511. Just keep going down here, bear with me. 9992. Goods regardless of the country origin tariff other than goods of tariff item 9971 returned to Canada after being exported to one of those countries listed below for repair. All these items, all these countries here are countries we have a free trade agreement with. So remember, on the B3, when we had a repair, it was one line and we put 9992 in field 28 tariff code. So you have used this before. It's the same idea. So you're going to get an assignment on what to do to do this, where you're going to take you're going to have 3 different items, and you are going to go in here and find the provisions for them, and you're going to do the B3 accordingly. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll talk to you soon.